This is Juan Carlos. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, let me just make sure everybody, the rest are all admitted, and then I'll play the video.
Okay. Yeah. Teacher.
Yes.
I'm going to have a little break.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. Just whatever you want.
All right. Okay. So all right. So we're gonna continue, and then you can just go join us when you come back. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Let me just. Oh, what happened? All right. Are you guys ready for me to play the first part?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me just play the video. Pay attention to the question. Okay.
Silencien sus micrófonos.
You know, my favorite part of being a dad is the movies I get to watch. I love sharing my favorite movies with my kids, and when my daughter was 4, we got to watch The Wizard of Oz together. Totally dominated her imagination for months. Her favorite character was Glinda, of course. Gave her a great excuse to wear a sparkly dress and carry a wand. But you know, you watch a movie enough times, and you start to realize how unusual it is. Now, we live today and are raising our children in a kind of children's fantasy, spectacular industrial complex. But The Wizard of Oz stood alone. It did not start that trend. 40 years later was when the trend really caught on, with, interestingly, another movie that featured a metal guy and a furry guy rescuing a girl by dressing up as the enemy's guards. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Now, there's a big difference between these two movies, a couple of really big differences between The Wizard of Oz and all the movies we watch today. One is there's very little violence in The Wizard of Oz. The monkeys are rather aggressive, as are the apple trees. But I think if The Wizard of Oz were made today, the wizard would say, Dorothy, you are the savior of Oz that the prophecy foretold. Use your magic slippers to defeat the computer-generated armies of the Wicked Witch. But that's not how it happens. Another thing that's really unique about The Wizard of Oz, to me, is that all of the most heroic and wise and even villainous characters are female.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute you guys. Okay, for question number 1, because we have 2 questions for this, it says, when Stokes refers to the children's fantasy spectacular industrial complex, he is describing an environment inspired by, which one do you have? What do you guys have?
E.
Letter B.
Letter B? All right. Let me just check the answer for this one. Okay, so letter B. All right. Now we're gonna check question number 2. Can you? We have Stokes says that the wizard in a modern version of The Wizard of Oz might say, use your magic slippers to defeat the computer generated armies of the Wicked Witch because, okay, and then we have movies like Star Wars often feature the same magical weapons and enemies as The Wizard of Oz because, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy fought computer generator armies using a pair of magic shoes. Or C, movies like Star Wars often feature a hero who has a magic weapon and fights computer generated characters.
Letter C.
Let's see.
Letter C.
All right.
I think it's B.
B. All right.
Well-
So we're gonna check. So for number 1 you selected B, and for number 2 you selected C.
Mhm.
Let's
Yeah.
check. All right. All right. So yes, it's letter number 2 is letter C, and number 1 is letter B.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you guys have questions with this video? With this part?
No.
Okay. So let me just go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Well, we actually answered this one. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Before we actually watch the video again, or the second part of the video, it says the instruction, and this is on page 34. Okay, on page 34, it says, watch part 2 of the TED Talk, match the movies that Colin Stokes might say about them. So for example, I have Star Wars, and then I have this. What do you guys think?
It's a has strong female character, but it's still a war movie.
Okay, so we have like this, Star Wars, this. What about the Wizard of Oz? What do you think he's going to say about the Wizard of Oz?
I can be a great model for boys and girls.
Okay. For number 3, Beauty and the Beast.
It's only good that boys will watch.
Okay. And the last one, the Hunger Games.
It has a lot of
It's
violence and
something.
all. It's terrible in this picture. Guacal.
All right.
Guacal.
Okay. And all right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to actually check if the way you matched the movies and what he says is correct or not. Okay. Let me
Okay.
let me put the software of the book. All right. So again, I'm going to mute your microphones and just pay attention, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I started to notice this when I actually showed Star Wars to my daughter, which was years later, and the situation was different. At that point, I also had a son. He was only 3 at the time. He was not invited to the screening. He's too young for that. But he was the second child, and the level of supervision had plummeted. So he wandered in, and it imprinted on him like mommy duck does to its duckling. And I don't think he understands what's going on, but he is sure soaking in it. And I wonder what he's soaking in. Is he picking up on the themes of courage and perseverance and loyalty? Is he picking up on the fact that Luke joins an army to overthrow the government? Is he picking up on the fact that there are only boys in the universe except for Aunt Beru? And of course, this princess who's really cool, but who kind of waits around through most of the movie so that she can award the hero with a medal and a wink. to thank him for saving the universe, which he does by the magic that he was born with. Compare this to 1939 with The Wizard of Oz. How does Dorothy win her movie? By making friends with everybody and being a leader. Like, that's kind of the world I'd rather raise my kids in. Oz, right? And not the world of dudes fighting, which is where we kind of have to be. Why is there so much force, capital F force, in the movies we have for our kids and so little Yellow Brick Road? The movies are very, very focused on defeating the villain and getting your reward, and there's not a lot of room for other relationships and other journeys. It's almost as though if you're a boy, you are a dopey animal, and if you were a girl, you should bring your warrior costume. I mean, there are plenty of exceptions, and I will defend the Disney princesses in front of any of you. But they do send a message to boys that the boys are not really the target audience. I mean, they are doing a phenomenal job of teaching girls how to defend against the patriarchy, but they're not necessarily showing boys how they're supposed to defend against the patriarchy. There's no models for them. And we also have some terrific women who are writing new stories for our kids. And as three-dimensional and delightful as Hermione and Katniss are, these are still war movies.
Okay, so in this case, we're just gonna go and check the answers that you have. Well, that you gave me first. I'm sorry, but I don't know why the software started to be slow.
Mhm.
Hold on, just make sure this thing. Okay, so we have the 4 movies. We have Star Wars, The Wizard of Oz, Beauty and the Beast, and The Hunger Games.
Mhm.
Your original answers are in the PowerPoint presentation. So you told number 1, Star Wars has a strong female characters. The Wizard of Oz can be a great model for both boys and girls. Beauty and the Beast, unlikely boys to watch. And Hunger Games, a lot of violence and few female characters. Let's check the answers. So you have it like this.
Yes,
Yes.
So you were right.
I do.
Okay, this is correct.
The Wizard of Oz, you said it can be a great role model, right?
Yes.
Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Unlikely
that. Okay.
And this one.
Ah, 100.
All right.
Okay.
Are you sure you had it like this? Or was it different?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same.
Yeah.
So we're gonna check them all. Let's check the answers. All right. So you actually had it like this. Hold on. Let me show the PowerPoint because you actually gave me that answer first.
Okay.
So you see, you said Star Wars this, and the Hunger Games this, and the book has it differently, okay? So it should be like this. Well, okay. So Star Wars is a movie that has a lot of violence and only a few female characters. So really Star Wars, for example, if I refer to the old movies, the only female character was Princess Leia. So it only has like 1 or 2 women. And the Hunger Games has a lot of female characters, but it is a war movie. So,
Yes.
I mean, it has violence. All right. Now, in here, and this is your opinion, we are not right or wrong, but it says choosy ending Colin Stokes might most agree with. In the video he mentions this, but what do you think he agrees with? We need more movies that focus on relationships and people journeys, present positive message and role models for girls, or teach boys how to respect women and girls. What do you think is the one that he wants to agree the most?
Very
For me, is B and C.
B and C. Letter B. What about the rest of you guys? What do you agree with?
B.
B. All right.
very big.
Okay. So let's check this out.
No. B and C maybe.
B and C. All right. Don't worry. Let's.
Sí.
So C. Actually, and like you guys say, I think it would be both positive message and role models for girls, but also teach boys how to respect girls and women. So I mean, they go together in a way. Do you guys have questions with this?
No.
All right. So we're gonna go back to the PowerPoint before we finish with the last activity, and then have the quiz. Okay, for the final part of the video, he's going to mention this Bechdel test. A Bechdel test, I took it from the Wikipedia site. Is also known as the Bechdel-Wallace test. This test is a measure of representation of women in fiction. So the test is to check if a movie has at least 2 women who talk to each other and do something more than a man in a movie. Okay. The test is to check if a movie has a lot of women talking more than 2 words and talking more than a man. Okay. So like Hermione in Harry Potter, for example. Do you understand the information about this test?
More or less.
Okay. So in this case, for example, what is a movie that you have watched recently that includes a lot of women in the movie?
The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay, The Devil Wears Prada. That's a movie. Any other movie that you have watched where women are like the principal characters?
The Holiday.
Okay, The Holiday.
Cameron Diaz and Rachel Weisz.
Yeah. Very good. Any other movie that you remember?
Oof.
Okay, now, do you remember a movie where women are not really part of the principal characters?
Batman, Dark Knight.
Okay, Batman, Dark Knight. Batman was the principal. The Avengers also.
James Bond.
Avengers.
James Bond. Okay, so in this case, this test, the Bechdel test, the purpose of the test is for someone to check if a movie represents women in a way that okay, so they are similar to the men in the movie. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we're actually going to continue with this. We're going to watch the last part of the video, and then well, we're gonna discuss these questions after this. So what I want you to do is, what question does the Bechdel test ask? What you have to do is watch the video and complete the questions. Okay? So let me just go back to
Okay.
the book. And you have to complete number 1. Are there at least 2? Do they talk to about something other than a? Okay. Pay attention to this in the video. All right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to mute your microphones and then we're going to discuss about this.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, almost none of these movies pass the Bechdel test. I don't know if you've heard of this. It has not yet caught on and caught fire, but maybe today we will start a movement. Alison Bechdel is a comic book artist, and back in the mid-'80s, she recorded this conversation she'd had with a friend about assessing the movies that they saw. And it's very simple. There's just 3 questions you should ask. Is there more than one character in the movie that is female who has lines? So try to meet that bar. And do these women talk to each other at any point in the movie? And is there conversation about something other than the guy that they both like? Right? Thank you. Thank you very much. 2 women who exist and talk to each other about stuff. It does happen. I've seen it, and yet I very rarely see it in the movies that we know and love. I think our job in the Netflix queue is to look out for those movies that pass the Bechdel test, if we can find them, and to seek out the heroines who are there, who show real courage, who bring people together, and to nudge our sons to identify with those heroines. And to say, I want to be on their team, because they're going to be on their team. I want more quests like that. I want fewer quests where my son is told, go out and fight it alone, and more quests where he sees that it's his job to join a team. Maybe a team led by women, to help other people become better. And be better people, like the Wizard of Oz. Thank you.
All right. So in this case, just to complete the questions, what is the question number 1? Complete.
Are there at least 2 women?
Woman?
Are there at least 2 women? Good. Number 2, do they talk to
Each other?
And 3, about something other than a?
A man.
I mean,
Exactly. So the Bechdel test is basically this. You having a conversation with someone about women in movies, and you have to ask, are there at least 2 women in the movie? Do they actually talk to each other? And about something that is not only men. Okay? That's the purpose of the Bechdel test. Now, with this, we're actually going to have a conversation about this. Let me just go back to the PowerPoint. I'm going to separate you one final time, okay? Right now to the breakout rooms. What you have to do is you're going to select 3 movies, whatever movie that comes to your mind, okay? And you're going to apply the Bechdel test to each of the movies. And you're going to discuss these questions. Do the movies that you selected pass the Bechdel test? Why do you think these movies pass or fail the test? And then could they be connected to who wrote or directed them or when they were made. Okay? These are the 3 questions that you have to ask first. Okay? Select 3 movies, whatever movie, and you're going to ask 1, 2, 3 questions. Okay? Yes?
Yes.
All right, so I'm just going to separate you guys. Let me send a WhatsApp message with this slide, and then I'm going to separate you guys. Okay.
The question one, there are last 2 women in the best test is was a movie in the decade of 18.
Okay.
The name The Best Friends with Beth Miller and Lily, I don't know. It's just, the best del Enrique. So the 2 friends, 2 years friends is very the best movie. The Do They Talk, the number 2, Do They Talk to Each Other, is no,
She don't talk. Is another woman
Hello,
and a
can you
little.
hear me?
Yes, yes,
All right.
Alberto.
Be back.
Yes, I am back. All right.
In Spider-Man, the principal character is a man. The girlfriend is a little dialogues, and I don't know. Only the finish the movies is when she kiss him and she happiness. I think the same the looking for happiness is a good movie. It's a have role models, but um, no no have a woman. The character principal is a man. Is um when
a movie. One, the Juego de Gemelas. Are there at least two women? Do they talk to each other?
Yeah, it's similar. We can use the same example.
Okay.
And this a falta de respeto, something like that. So a witcher is the queen in this town, and the mission of the girl is found his parents, but if she wants, he stay forever
You
in
stay forever in the
medical
station.
Uh-huh.
Wait.
This is the example. I mean that movie, the Travel Chihiro, el viaje de Chihiro failed the Bechdel test. I don't know.
Okay, Legally Blonde is a movie. Legally Blonde. And the question number 1. Are there at least two women? I think it's only one woman. But
Wait.
Question: Are you do if this is the movie in the Blackchester? I understand here. No, I don't know.
Well, Alberto, what do you think about it?
Yes. Well, I think the role of the woman is much important year after year. Where, for example, in the superhero movies, well, the role of the woman is most important. In the Avengers, for example,
Yeah.
well, I like these movies, and I see these movies. Well, like the first movie is Iron Man, and year after year, the woman is most important. Well, for example, personal, the Wasp, Gamora, Black Widow,
Okay.
is a person is very important. And
Wonder Woman.
Yes, the bad woman.
Wonder Woman. Exactly.
Wonder Woman. Wow.
The woman is a good movie.
I think heroines is hero.
Wonderful Woman. So how do you say?
Okay, so let me just make sure everybody comes back, and then we'll have just a little discussion with this, and we'll be doing the quiz.
It's easy or complicated?
The quiz,
Don't ask it that.
it's really simple. simply
I'm
at
scared.
the end,
Okay, okay.
You
Alright.
make me nervous.
All right, so just to kind of just finish this part of the book and conversation for today, I just want you to tell me if the movies that you selected, like, do they pass? Do you think that the movies that you selected pass the Bechdel test? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Okay.
No,
No?
Who say no?
Yeah.
What movie did you select that you think that it won't pass the Bechdel test?
some movies, maybe Matrix or I don't know what other movies. Caribbean Pirates
Okay.
didn't pass. A lot of movies didn't pass the test.
The Bechdel test. All right. Now, do you think that maybe they didn't pass because of the director or the writers, or why do you think?
I don't know.
All right. Okay. So, well, don't worry about it. In this case, just uh-huh.
A lot of movies speak about men and the men are the lead in the
Characters.
spirits.
Character man.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So right now, however, in these modern times, I think that a lot of women are now part of the media, movies. So it's going to be a little different than it was before. Now, just to actually start with the quiz, the big question, the big question is, what questions do you guys have with vocabulary, with grammar, something you want to check really fast before we start? It's the same. The quiz, it's exactly as the first quiz, 25 questions, and I mean it's online, so it doesn't really have a lot of things that you didn't see. They are exactly the things that you saw. But I don't know if you have questions with vocabulary or something you want to check. Do you have questions or no?
No.
I think no.
No? All right. So
Who is the vocabulary?
I'm gonna show you guys. Can you see the software of the book?